Hello guys, and welcome back to StarCraft, where I take you through the missions and how to get the achievements. Today's mission is a Sinister Turn, in the Wings of Liberty campaign, and the achievements are a Sinister Turn. Complete all mission objectives. Those objectives are power up the abandoned base, free the preservers, and power up the abandoned structures. Out for justice. Kill all Protoss on normal. Marked for death. Complete the mission in less than 25 minutes or less on hard. This mission's actually not too hard. It's another paintbrush mission, which means once you have a decent enough force, you can kind of start moving back and forth across the map to try to hit all areas of the map. So this way you don't miss any of the Protoss, and this way you can find all the abandoned structures. Also, once you find the abandoned structures, you can drop a pylon down on them, and as soon as the pylon activates, those structures will spit out certain units. Like, they'll spit out like High Lord or High Templar if it's a High Templar facility, or they'll spit out Immortals if it's a robotics facility. And then after they've spit out those units, you can use those buildings as normal, as if you made them yourself. In the beginning of this mission, what you want to do is, make sure your probes are actually mining instead of just kind of hanging out in front of your nexus there. I wonder how long it takes me for me to notice. That's the one bad thing about the old campaigns, is your nexus doesn't automatically start pointing at minerals. So you actually had to do, the first thing in the mission was create a probe, then use your nexus to point at minerals. Luckily now, the newer games, they have it to where your nexus automatically starts off targeting minerals and stuff like that. So that's good versus bad. But once you basically get your probes going, you're going to start to build an infantry force. And it's going to consist mainly of stalkers and zealots with a few probably sentry backups. After you get about a decent force of about 8 to 16 of them up, you're going to go ahead and start moving out to these abandoned structures. Once you have the abandoned structures, like the robotics facility, you can stop worrying about producing your infantry units and start basically stop worrying about producing the zealots. I'd still produce the stalkers and the sentries, but as far as the zealots go, you're going to replace them with immortals. And by that time, you should have a big enough bank you can actually start producing the immortals with no problem. Also be aware that periodically throughout this mission, they are going to be sending hybrids at you, and these are not normal hybrid. They're going to be empowered hybrid, which means they're going to be a pain in the butt. You can take them out basically by when they start coming towards your base, move your troops back towards the base and kind of hide behind or right next to your cannons. Your cannons are going to be the things that are going to be either soaking up the damage or dealing the most of the damage. There we go. That robotics facility is online, and the first immortal is up. Yeah, see, as soon as that pylon went active, the immortal was spit out, so. Unfortunately, this isn't the Protoss campaign, so you can't beef up your units that way. You have to do it the old-fashioned multiplayer way. You'll wait. Now, if you have a decent enough force, I'd go ahead and move into him. As you can see, he'll blink. Later on, they'll be able to cast Psystorms. They should also be able to, I believe that sometime later on, they'll have the Lift Up ability, which basically where they force choke somebody out. So they're kind of mean, and unless you have a decent enough force, I wouldn't engage them, because they will pretty much hose your units. Right now I'm moving out to this Dark Templar shrine so I can go ahead and empower it. And it looks like I'm primarily focusing on zealots right now, so that's okay in the beginning. But once you get up a good enough bank, I'd go ahead and switch to a Stalker Immortal pairing on your groupings. Nope, my probe got caught out of position. It's like, no, you bastard! How could you kill him? He had so much to live for. He had a fart cloud baby. Sorry. Hey, I will not give anything against the fart cloud race. The crystallized fart cloud race. My bad. They must have dignity. Yeah, as you can see, the hybrid is coming up the right side. He alternates going back and forth on sides, so I was supposed to wait until he was more up towards the cannons, but oops. Hindsight's 20/20. Yeah, the other reason you probably don't want to go with straight stalkers when fighting the hybrid is because they have no range. So once they surround him, you'll have about 5 or 6 stalkers that can't do anything. So just keep that in mind. Going ahead with a 4-gate strategy here. Because if you can afford 4 units, why not build them simultaneously? You know? Start pushing into taldrim territory. I ain't got time for this. I gotta kill everything. Ooh, void rays. My favorite unit, except when they're being used against me. This is where I figured out, hey, I need stalkers. Because if I don't have stalkers, I'm kind of hosed. Yep. Get him, cannons. Get him, Dark Templar. Yeah, the Immortals actually do enough damage. They can actually somewhat... Basically, if you have like 1 or 2 Immortals, you can probably take on the hybrid as long as it's focusing on cannons. They do enough damage that they can probably... As long as something else is tanking the damage from the hybrid, they could take that thing out. No problem. Let's say if this was the Psystorm. Yeah, whenever you see a Psystorm, don't stand in that like I was doing. It's a good way to lose units. But yeah, like I was saying, it's too bad this isn't the Protoss campaign, because then you could empower, or basically select a different version of the Immortal that has a cannon strike, which basically allows it to attack ground and air. Well, it does 200 damage to a target, so it can be a ground or air target, so that's why I like those so much more. I like the Taldrim Immortals because they're an AoE Immortal, but I like the... I think it's the Volsrune Immortals better, just because they do the basic 200 damage target thing, you know, snipe ability. Which it's almost enough it can take out most flyers. I think the only flyers it can't take out is... I don't think it can take out an Overlord in one shot. But it can take most anything else out. And depending on how many you have, you know, you can just sit there and blast away at it. Just like, oh, let's send 4 of these sniping this thing. And the other cool thing is it's a cooldown, not a energy-based ability, so it's really easy to use, and you can pretty much use it as soon as it's off cooldown and never have to worry. Because some of the abilities will be cooldown abilities plus being a energy-based ability, which means like sometimes it'll be off cooldown and you know it won't have enough energy to cast the ability, so that makes it kind of a pain in the butt. And if you're good enough, you can use this place as an expanse. I believe there's one other spot around somewhere that you can, I think it's down around the left part of the map, the bottom left, that can be used as an expanse. The only problem with expanses like this is they're far from the base, so they're kind of hard to protect. So if like the hybrid or the taldrim come across it, you can accidentally lose an entire base you just put expansion you put everything into. So yeah, see, there's his force choke, and then he blinks. He has a chain lightning style of ability. It's not quite chain lightning, but it's a chain lightning style ability. That stalker's gonna do a stalker bat. Oop, that stalker died. Get him, Zealot! God damn, that Zealot knocked the shit out of that stalker. Just ran in, BAM! Punched you so hard you exploded. I know that was stupid. Leave me alone. Yeah, with the Protoss, never underestimate the Zealots. They are an awesome unit, except for the fact that they can't attack flying, and they don't have range. They are still a heavy DPS unit for their cost. So, and they can take a lot of damage too, so that's a plus. Alright, we're about to have the High Templar facility, which means we'll get some High Templars. They've been blazing. Hey, stop picking on the Immortal. There we go. Pick on the Stalkers. I don't care about them. They don't cost as much. The only problem with Immortals, yeah, they're kind of expensive, so you don't want to, like, just willy-nilly lose them. Yeah, if you're doing a build like I am, I'd suggest either doing Immortal Stalkers or just straight-out Stalker Zealots. That would be your best bet, instead of trying to build all around, because that way you cover both ground and air, and you have enough DPS to take out the hybrid and whatever forces you run into. Also, never forget, if you're using Stalkers, keep their blink on cooldown, especially when fighting. It helps so much. And with High Templar, as soon as you're done using their energies or their feedback or whatever they're using, as soon as they're out of energy, merge them. Because when you merge them, they form the Archon, or as I like to call them, Big Shiny Dude when I can't remember their name. As soon as they merge, then you get a basic siege unit which can attack ground and air, so. And it's fairly cheap, well, cheap on the mineral side. I believe it costs 50 mineral and 100 get Vespian, I believe. So it should be able to be fairly easy to make them. So, I mean, for a siege unit to cost 100 minerals and 200 Vespian, that's really cheap for a siege unit. The only thing I don't like about Archons, I almost forgot their name and I just said it, is the fact that they are all shield, no health. Which means, basically, they have 350 shield, and I believe 10 health. So if you have a way of bypassing a shield, which I don't know if there's a unit out there, but it kind of bugs me. If you have a way of bypassing the Protoss shields, they are like the weakest unit out there. They're just so quick to die. Which I always think it's funny because I've actually had it to where I've had some of my Archons live at 1 health, and I'm like, how did you not die? It's like this Archon went through 350 shields and 9 health and lived. And I was like, huh? Yeah, right now I'm just kind of going through and clearing out the Protoss, because you need to do that to get the achievement, so just making sure I'm not missing anybody. Because that's the thing, like, the worst is to go through a mission like this and find out you missed a probe, or you missed a zealot that's just kind of hanging out in the back, you know, It's like, really? I wiped everything else off the map, but that one dude, doesn't count. We will intercept you, Monsieur Hybrid, or we will chase you, one or the other. More than likely the other. Hey, leave the probe alone. Good boy. I don't know what that stalker's doing in the back. He's like, I'm not fighting that thing. Are you freaking crazy? You seen that thing does to immortals? It just like chokes them out in the air. I didn't even know you could choke a fart cloud. Yes, and once you build an expansion, never forget to man the expansion. That is really annoying when I go back and watch my recordings, and I saw that I built the Nexus, I built the refineries, never loaded a single probe onto them, and it's like, what were you thinking? Apparently I wasn't. Yes, my Archon, do the majority of the battling for me. Build the refinery. And it's a minor expansion. You can always tell a minor expansion from a regular expansion, because minor expansions will only have like 1 Vespian gas. Or no Vespian gas. Yes, keep your stalkers on cooldown. And try to keep your stalkers out in front of your immortals, because your immortals are your DPS siege unit in this case. You want them to be doing the majority of the damage, but you don't really want them taking damage. Which is why you want to keep your either your stalkers, your stalkers, zealots, or whoever you've decided to be the, infantry unit you're going to be going with. You want to keep those in front of your immortals. I wouldn't go with Dark Templar just because, well, for one, they don't have any, they can't be detected. They have stealth. So if you're not careful, you can accidentally basically let your immortals die because they were taking the majority of your damage because they couldn't see your infantry units. So when you're doing something like that, just keep that in mind. Yeah, you see how they have an expanse over here. If you're not careful, you can walk by this and never know. And make sure you get the probes as well. I'm not sure if they count, but I'm pretty sure they do. And I love it when the computer sends probes to attack stuff like that. It's like, hey, what? Are you serious? More buildings. Do you mind? We're trying to blow up a building. There we go. We blew up the building, yay! That was all the Protoss in this area. Yeah, usually once you've destroyed the last Protoss, it'll pop the achievement for you. Especially on missions like this. Or else you'd just kind of be sitting there going, is it done? I don't know. Have I gotten everybody? Is there a probe, like, hiding in the back? I don't know! Well, guys, there we go. This has been a Sinister Turn and how to get the achievements. If y'all like what y'all saw, give me a like, a comment, and a share down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.